Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Best in Faction, the Next Generation battle report. For this one, we've got myself, Lucas, playing against Nick. Say hello, Nick.
Hello.
And we're playing the age-old classic from ye olden days in fantasy. You know, dwarves and orcs have always been mortal enemies, and we're seeing that matchup run back again here on this table today. So we've got a 2,000 point match play game of Orks versus Votann. Should be a nice fun one. As you can see here, we've got 6 objectives set up, so there's going to be plenty of mayhem and madness all across the board. And yeah, we're excited to bring you this game. How you feeling coming into this game, Nick?
I'm excited. I mean, I've been loving playing Votann. I'm trying a slightly different list. I've been trying to challenge myself by not playing 20 Hearthguard. We talked a little bit about on our show how, while I recognize the power of that data sheet, it feels very clunky and costly to use. So I played about maybe my last 10, 15 games of Votann. I've been without double Hearthguard. So I know you were excited to see this matchup on the table. We've been looking to do this in a while and do this one for a while. So I was happy to see how it went.
Yeah, it's going to be a real exciting one, and not to spoil things, but it's going to be a real nail-biter. Less than 5 points between the two of us at the end of this game, so you're definitely going to want to check out, stick to the end and check out the whole thing. It's going to be a fun game. So let's just go over lists, the mission, and kind of our approach to the game as we kick things off here. For the Orks, we have obviously the Index Wall Tribe Detachment. We've got kind of the Orc good stuff build that you've seen maybe once or twice now on the channel at this point. It's just all the best Orc data sheets, just spamming all the tankiness and damage we can get. We got Mozrog, a Beast Boss on Squigosaurus Headwapa's Killchoppa, 2 War Bosses on foot, leading 2 squads of 5 knobs. We've got, what's the other character? Oh, we've got Badruk leading 10 Flashkits, 4 trucks for all that infantry to go inside, including 2 squads of 10 Beast Snaggaboys. 20 Gretchen, yep, 20 Gretchen, 3 squads of 3 Squighog Boys with Bomb Squigs. And finally, 2 squads of 5 Storm Boys armed with claws. So just a big old wall of green skins to run at the Votann and hopefully crump some heads.
Oh, yeah. On the side of the Votann, I am running a list that I am considering to take for Slaanesh. Probably at the time of this recording, Slaanesh has already happened, so you might be seeing something similar to this. I'm running 3 characters, an Einherjar Champion with a Hammer and Wayfarer's Grace. That is the Stand Back Up or Baby Fuegan enhancement. I've got a Call with Grim Demeanor. That's the Ignore All Modifiers and Leadership Reroll enhancement. And then Uthar the Destined as my Warlord. He's the kind of solo Votann character that adds another little melee unit to your army, which I found pretty nice. I've got 2 squads of 10 Hearthkin Warriors with the triple melee weapons, Plasma Pistol, Ion Blasters, and then 5 Sagittars with the beams, 1 squad of 6 Thunderkin with Grav, 2 squads of 5 Berserks, they're back, with Mole Launchers and Hammers, 1 squad of 10 Hearthguard with Plasma Guns, and then 2 squads of 3 Bikes and 1 squad of 6 Bikes. So there's a lot of new stuff I'm trying out here. This might be my 5th or so game with this list, but first time into Orks. Excited to see how that works out.
Yeah, tell us about some of these unusual data sheets. I mean, I feel like everyone at this point is aware of what Votann do. They've seen Sagittars, they've seen Bikers, they know what Hearthkin are. Tell us about the 6-man bike squad and how you use them differently than the 3-mans, and then also tell us about Uthar.
Yeah, so the 3-man bikes, usually a lot of Votann lists run 2 squads of these. They are often your mission play just unit. They're 90 points. They go 12 inches. They have pistols and assault guns, so they can do actions all the time. Their most important ability, though, is the data sheet ability, which is at the end of your opponent's turn. If the bike squad is within 6 of a board edge and not in combat, it can just hop into strat reserves. So these units often like to play far away. They like to play in the back where your opponent can't really get to them. And also, if your opponent does want to come out to get to them, they have to overextend or overcommit, and then you just get to kill them with the rest of your army that's in the way. They do a little bit of damage here and there, but it's 9 autocannon shots, 6 minigun shots. The 6-man bike squad, however, you do not want to be wasting on activations because it's 180 points is a bit more of an investment. However, this squad has, 18 autocannon shots and 12 minigun shots. all at AP1 with ignores cover just for free, 5-up CP refund if you decide to use any strats on it, and they ignore stealth. So this unit all of a sudden hits pretty darn well, especially because in this edition, with a lot of like the whole 3-up saves and cover not being able to go to 2-ups, 3-up saves and cover are taking 4-ups against your like mass autocannons and stuff. And this unit suddenly becomes a very good recipient of the sustained hits 2 stratagem that Votann have access to, because a third of the time you just get that CP back, and then all of a sudden you're getting 100% hit rate with your guns hitting into token targets. Sometimes, it can spike and even do a little bit more. So I found that unit to be very effective. You can deploy it on the line and very aggressively scout it and move it towards someone if they like misdeployed something, or you can choose to play it a little more defensively. And since it has the reposition ability, it can just appear from a corner if your opponent's not careful. And then Uthar the Destin, he is just kind of the solo call character. He doesn't provide lethal hits like the call does. He instead is a lot more selfish. He gives himself a flip a hit or a wound to a 6. 9 out of 10 times you're going to use this on a wound because he has 5 attacks at 6/3/2 with dev wounds, and he can join Hearthkin or Hearthguard. Most of the time he's joining Hearthkin for me inside of a Sagittar. And Uthar himself, he has this unique ability where he sets all incoming damage to 1. Now you throw in a squad that's like 5 T5 bodies, all with a 5-up emblem from Uthar, and then a 4-up emblem from the Sergeant, 6 of Feel No Pain from the Med Pack, and then Uthar himself has a 3-up, 4-up, and he's got 5 wounds. This unit becomes a little hard to shift and requires a little bit more of a commitment that people are willing to do, especially if you throw it out early or later in the game when they might not quite have the resources to deal with this. It can run around and do quite a bit of damage. Uthar, being a character as well, has access to the Epic Challenge stratagem, so it can be really nice to dig out like a little 4-wound support character hiding inside of a squad like Wraithguard or something like that. So he's this nice little tech piece that I've had a ton of fun playing. And every time I think about cutting him, I know you guys are like, absolutely do not cut that guy. He is a bastard, and he is super fun.
Yeah, it's expensive, but for what he does, I think he's worth it. He's very hard to get rid of, and the rest of the weapons in the Hearthkin squad actually synergize with him very well because they're also like middling strength, decent AP, 2 damage. So they definitely, when they get the right target lined up into them, as we're going to see in this game. When they hit the right targets, they can definitely just straight up KO them, and that's something that a lot of people aren't anticipating from like a little 55-point troop squad.
Yep.
Cool. So let's go ahead and hit play here. The mission we are playing today is Sweeping Engagement, Hidden Supplies, and Take and Hold, I believe. So hold 1, hold 2, hold 3 for a max of 15. The middle objective splits, and then we're going diagonal Dawn of War here. So fairly balanced mission, nothing too out of the ordinary. This is something, this particular mission kind of setup is something that a lot of the Pacific Northwest TOs have been favoring lately as kind of an alternative to, or as another stock, quote unquote, stock standard mission instead of priority targets, because that one can be very swingy and also can promote lots of like high scoring ties, just ties in general, which is kind of annoying. So, are we rolling here? Yeah, we are rolling. Cool. So yeah, we're seeing a lot more of this in the Northwest, so we've kind of taken it upon ourselves to practice this one a little bit. It's a pretty interesting one, a lot of fun, and promotes like a lot of fights happening all across the table here. So we roll off to see who goes first, and ends up being the Votann going first. How do you feel about that, Nick? I don't know. I know the Orks definitely wanted to go first here.
Yeah, I think I'm fine one way or the other. Going second, there is the benefit of like getting that 15 at the end of the game, just by holding my home field and the 2 objectives closest to me. And that is something that I'm a little worried about you getting, since you've deployed so defensively. As you see here, I think I'm taking a little bit of time here to decide what to go after. And you were very smart and didn't deploy anything in such a way that I could scout movement and just blast it off the board. By doing so, I might like open myself up to a turn 1 charge if I decided to like go after that truck, those 2 trucks that are kind of way in the corners.
Yeah, I think I've basically prevented you from seeing me altogether, because you can maybe get up to like here and not see around this angle, or you can get up to here and I protected myself from this angle. I don't think there's a way you can see me here.
Yeah, so knowing that I have to kind of put the pressure on you by going first, because there's that very easy 15 for you to get at the end, I need to think about a few options here. Obviously, running like right at the Orks isn't the best answer, because you can in turn use me to slingshot, and then like your whole army's in my face. So instead, I decided to go for, well, what if I stayed kind of like outside of your threat ranges, like not like 100%, but like on the very edge of them. So if you do decide to charge me, it's kind of a riskier play for you. If you don't commit enough, you won't quite flip the objective, and then you pass back to me and I get a 15. And that's kind of what you're about to see here. Is I put a lot of stuff on that top left objective, and I even get the Hearthkin out just so they immediately can sticky the objective. And you'll see me start moving on to this other midfield objective. Currently, what we're trying to measure, I opted to go tactical. I know that Votann are usually like a good fixed game, but into Orks, I was worried about Cleanse and Homers here, just because Cleanse especially, that's 2 units that have to give up their shooting to also then control the objective at the end of the turn. And Homers, luckily, like I got, like, Homers is pretty easy on sweeping engagement, but it was Cleanse I was more worried about. So another option, I guess, usually a lot of Orc lists give up Assassinate, but you were very smart, and I think you have 4 characters?
I've got 5.
You have 5, yeah, okay. You have 5, but a lot of Orc lists I see have like 7 or 8, and then I'll absolutely take Assassinate into those. So the tactical deck decided to give me a funny and give me capture enemy outpost and behind instantly. You know, the
turn one classic.
You want to see turn 1. Luckily, I was able to pre-game move. I did pre-game move that Sagittar forward, just because I was going first. You have to do that before you draw the cards, but hey, I drew behind. And I was able to advance it far enough to get those Hearthkin out and get into your DZ. What we're doing here on the middle objective is we're getting Uthar's squad out on the objective, and I'm kind of just debating, I think, like, who should be on the objective. Like, should Uthar be in the front? Should the Sagittar be on the objective? And I think I ultimately decide, like, the Sagittar and all the Hearthkin and Uthar are on the objective, with Uthar leading the way, just in case you decide to countercharge me and you end up killing all the Hearthkin, you're at least still in combat with Uthar, because chances are you had to base him. So, yeah. Not really doing any damage turn 1, just kind of getting into position and kind of basically passing the ball to you and kind of forcing you to decide how aggressive you want to get.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. You're doing all that you need to here, which is score whatever secondaries you have available to you, and then set yourself up well for early primary. I mean, this really is the advantage of going first, is especially with how defensively I've deployed. It's going to be very easy for you to just stay out of my charge ranges and get a 15 or 2 15s even at this point. Just with how far back I need to be to stay safe from you. And that's one of the things that sketches me out a lot about Orcs is, you know, they have the big pressure turn, but their ability to respond to like aggression or units in different corners of the table at different points in time is relatively bad. I mean, there's no advance in charge other than the one big turn. There's not very much good shooting. So the reach out and touch ability of this army, other than on the one go turn, is really bad. And especially when you go second, it's telegraphed as well, which is not fantastic at all. So
yeah, I hadn't played against Orcs in so long that I was preemptively measuring your like theoretical advance and charge ranges, and you turned to me and said I can't do that because I didn't declare the WA at the start of the battle round. And I was like, oh, that gives me so much more of an advantage.
Yeah, there's definitely games where it won't matter because it'll be very telegraphed, or like it'll be more of a brawly game. But like this, especially how I've set up so far back, I'm going to be telling you, you know, a whole turn in advance when I'm going to be running at you, which is really not fantastic.
Yep. For this game, for the initial tokens, I opted to put them on both of the beast bosses, just because those guys are a pain in the ass to get through with their invulns and feel no pains and their T10 and access to -1 to wound. And they often don't like wipe out units. Like they might go in and like kill a Sagittar, but like now they're only +1 to hit. Like I really want +1 to wound in them as fast as possible. So I put the tokens on them. I also tokened the Warboss Snob Squads just because those are one of the few units that really scare my Hearthguard in your list. And so I wanted you to be forced to use them early, and if you decided to use them early, then I can kill them hopefully before my Hearthguard have to come down and just get killed by them.
That makes sense.
I think there was some thinking about tokening the Squigs. The Hogs are very tanky. T7 with 5-up feel no pain. But that's kind of one of those awkward things where if your opponent has 3 squads and you only token 2, then they only really commit one of them that's not token. So it's a little tough.
Yeah, I think you made the right call. All of the, I mean, I can really just use the non-token squads as aggressively as I want. So there's no perfect answer where you get to token everything you want to. But I think you made the right calls here. The units inside trucks, I would play so much more aggressively with if they didn't have tokens.
Yeah. So here's your first turn here. What are your thoughts in responding to, well, my kind of more passive turn 1?
Well, I'm not feeling fantastic about my initial situation. Unfortunately, Nick's going to get a 15, and there's nothing I can do about it because my army doesn't shoot. It's not going to advance onto that objective. Nick has more OC than I could ever hope to put on with my Storm Boys, and I'm out of charge range. So there's just nothing I can do about his 15. So all I'm going to try to do is score the 2 secondaries I drew, which are Tempting Target and Deploy Teleport Homers, and kind of set myself up defensively, try to be in a good position to get a 10, and then we can work from there. So what we're going to do is throw those 5 Storm Boys who are right behind this wall here. They're going to go out into the middle and deploy a Homer, just kind of like stand in the way a little bit, not be on the objectives for the purpose of, what's the secondary called? Overwhelming Force. And kind of go from there. They'll just get me their 3 points and then die. That's fine for them. And then other than that, just continue to play defensively, stage up a little bit. This is something that I like doing whenever I play Orcs, is play aggressively with the pieces that are less reliant on the wall to stay alive. You know, the trucks and the units inside and the squigs as well, they really want the 5-up invuln, as well as all those extra attacks to really propel themselves into the stratosphere during the Watard. Mozrog and the Beast Boss don't actually need those buffs to A, be resilient, and B, do damage. It's like both of those guys are plenty fine just independently on their own without the Wa. I mean, Mozrog and the Beast Boss don't get anything defensively from it at all. So I like using them aggressively in the early game to try to force my opponent to commit, to try to start baiting stuff out, and then I can actually respond with my other units when the wall is active. So Mozrog ran out into here. He's going to be on that objective. I'm fully aware that Nick can test it next turn, but it will force him to put something on that objective, which hopefully I'll get to kill at that point.
Well, and he's OC3, which means I could just like run Sagittar up to it, but then it's a Sagittar you get a slingshot off of. And if I want to put bikes on there, I got to put 2 on there to take it from you.
Yep. You're also trying to be cognizant of my flash kits as well. They're a unit that is very good in Orcs, not because of their output, although their output is very good. They're mostly just there because it's so much easier to play around just threat ranges as opposed to threat ranges and a good shooting threat. Right? This was something that fellow Orc player Tyler Rousseau keyed me onto when I did my Orcs episode with him and Adam Camilleri reviewing the Orcs Index a couple of weeks ago, which you should go check out on Art Down Under if you haven't already. But the ability to force your opponent to respect your shooting and respect your threat rangers means they have to play so much more differently than just, you know, the classic Death Guard thing of just measure 17 inches and you auto beat them. You know, if all they had to do was measure my get out 3, move 6, advance 6, and charge in order to beat Orcs, then I'd feel so much worse. The flash kits really provide that extra dynamic that forces people to play differently, which is cool.
There's something too that I think a lot of people forget is they're just kind of like absolutely speedy threat range coming out of a truck, because the truck moves 12, correct?
Yep.
And then disembarks 3, and then they shoot 24. So that's something that, well, that unit hits pretty hard when it's on the board because it has Chapter Master. So
yeah, it's kind of a fun unit because you can customize it to the needs of the engagement, right? Like if you're shooting at, you know, a spore mine in your backfield, or 5 swooping hawks that are right in front of you, or something like that. You know, 10 gargoyles that they're just have no cover. You don't need to get them out of the truck and expose them in order to kill that unit. So you can instead just like stay in the truck, not have the Chapter Master, and the extra, nor have the extra shot, but then just like gun down the little shitty unit and be completely safe inside your truck. Or if you're just trying to do the damage, you can, you know, drive up to a crazy angle, get the guys out, shoot at full efficiency, And then the other thing that I've liked doing is don't drive it and get out at all. Just walk and get out. Get out 3, walk 6, shoot, and then charge, because the unit is actually quite good in melee as well. It's a fun unit, and I'm having a lot of fun using them. I used to be not flash get pilled, and now I'm starting to enjoy them a little more. They're pretty fun.
Yeah, well, they're definitely spooky in this matchup, like you said. Like my bikes right there, moving onto the objective, they had to move behind the terrain, respecting your flash gets, just walking out and blasting them. As you can see, nothing of mine is just hanging out in the open, because I'm pretty cognizant of the fact that your flash gets could kill any one unit in my army shooting at it, besides the Hearthguard, of course. So this is my turn 2. I believe I drew Tempting Target and Extend Battle Lines. Tempting Target, there was a little bit of kind of debate whether or not I could take that bottom right objective from Lucas. Didn't really look like it, just because of where my models are positioned. He's got OC 6 on that point, I think.
Yep. All right. Yes. Yep.
So I opt to just bin that one for a CP like at the end of my turn, and I absolutely just get Extend Battle Lines for free. I'm also at a 15, and right here I'm just trying to use these bikes in the middle to give Lucas a 10 and then kind of pass back to him. There isn't really any point in overexposing to shoot at him. Those bikes over there, that 6-man bike squad, is just staying just outside of the flash get, move, get out of truck shoot range. And they're there to help hose the 5 Storm Boys in the middle. And then I'll throw a few bike shots into Mazrog and call it a day. And a lot of my stuff's just kind of getting in position. I'm shuffling around my 6 Thunderkin in the back that are there as a counter shoot unit. I'm shuffling around Zerkers. The Zerkers are just shooting their mole launcher every turn, trying to slow some units down. And then I got 1 squad of Zerkers in that Sagittar, basically in the middle right objective, nearby Mazrog. They're just kind of waiting to countercharge.
Yep. This is kind of the ideal. I mean, there's 2 schools of thought, right? The first one is I would love to get as many points as I can in the early game out of my secondaries. And the other one is it's really cool to, get a 5, discard for a CP, get a 5, discard for a CP. So I personally was very happy giving up a couple of secondary points here in order to grab extra CP here, because Orks just love that command point so much. Those command points on the go turn, just spamming out -1 to wound, some interrupts, timely interrupts, that kind of thing. I was happy to get the extra CP. What about you? Would you rather have drawn extra points on turn 1 and 2, or would you rather have those CP? What do you think?
Definitely not turn 1. I think there's so much I could have drawn that I couldn't have scored, like Assassinate, no prisoners, overwhelming. Sure, I could have drawn Secure, no mans, or Extend, or Investigate, which I was pretty well equipped to do. But I'd rather just save my CP and then use the reroll. I like using the reroll in a secondary, like turn 4 and 5, when the game is pretty close. And you can decide whether that CP is more important in getting you points by rerolling a secondary, or more important in getting you points by pumping it into a unit on the board. I think binning a secondary early game is usually a pretty unwise decision.
Yep. I think there's a couple of notable I agree with you in 90% of cases. I think there's a couple notable exceptions. Like if you feel a game slipping out of your control, or you're playing in a team setting and you're like, I'm about to lose this game, it can very often, on the go turn, on turn 2 or 3 or whatever, if you draw a bad secondary, just spend one of your 3 CP to just try to have another one while you still have units on the board. I think that's one of the only cases where the opposite applies, right?
Yeah, if 9 out of 10
trying to get
secondaries,
however many points you can.
Yeah, if 9 out of 10 you draw that you could draw would get you points, and you draw 2 that can't give you points, probably worth it to bin it. But in my turn 1, right, there's so many secondaries I could redraw into. Binning Capture Enemy Outposts into Assassinate would feel so stupid.
Yeah.
So turn 2 here, I know I debated it, but I'm kind of more, I guess, if it happens again turn 3, I'll have 5 CP, so maybe I would re-roll if it happened turn 3.
Yep.
But we'll see what happens. So I'm easily able to get Extend for 5. I've been tempting. I do a little bit of damage to Mazrog, pick up the Storm Boys, and now we're into your turn 2, where you got a 10.
Yep. So off to a little bit of a deficit in terms of primary, and unfortunately, we're still at the stalemate kind of scenario where it's going to be hard for me to attack next primary. I am actually able to get the knobs out in a position where they can walk forward 6 and have a decent charge. onto Uthar and his gang. So my thought is, between the grenade strat and enough power claws, I'll probably be able to take that objective back from Nick, and that'll mean that I'll put him to a 10. So you might still get 45 on primary, but that is 5 points down from the max of 50, right? So probably still is worth it for me to try to do that. And then for my secondary, and then Mazrog obviously here is going to try to kill these bikes and hide as efficiently as possible. So that's going to be charging them, hopefully killing them with something like 5's Explode, and then consolidating back into this little cranny in the middle of that L, where he is not on either of the plexiglass pieces, so he will be safe. Which hopefully will mean that that objective continues to be difficult for Nick to contest. And then my secondaries, unfortunately, weren't fantastic. I got another 3 this turn. I drew behind enemy lines and capture enemy outpost.
Yep.
So would have loved to draw, basically anything else that wasn't engage at this point. But you know what? It could have been. I suppose it could have been. Actually, could it have been worse? I guess I could have drawn engage and capture enemy outpost, but yeah, not fantastic at all. But at least I'll get another CP out of it, and 3 points isn't horrible, even if it means throwing away my Storm Boys. So yeah, definitely feel like I'm on the back foot here, but not in a significant enough way that I have to play super dramatically. I feel like just continuing to play slowly might mean that later on turn 3 or on turn 4, I can try to flip the game on its head and maybe squeak out a narrow win, something like that.
Yeah. You having not used the wall yet is something I still have to respect. Obviously, I do have the advantage of knowing at the start of the battle round whether you're going to have advance and charge or not. But just kind of thinking about how far I want to push up. Something I can't quite do while you have the wall in your back pocket.
Yeah, for sure. And often when you find yourself in a spot like this, when you're playing Orks, it can really behoove you to just to sit back and hold on to that wall for as long as possible.
Yep. Here, I think we have your grenades that popped off and killed 4 Hearthkin.
Yep. And then the knobs charge on in. I think they rolled like an 11 or a 12 or something silly.
Yep.
So that unit barrels in to Uthar and the 1 hero survivor from his squad. And then Mazrog will come in and try to eat these bikes. Unfortunately, we've got a little dwarf hanging out back here that I didn't see. Mr. Champ himself, who's going to have the opportunity to heroic. And that was a sick play because it prevented Mazrog from being able to do that consolidation that we talked about, right? And get into the little cranny where he's safe. So the champ will be, unless the Mazrog kills the champ and the bikes, which is incredibly unlikely.
I think when we were talking about it earlier in the turn, I was okay with Mazrog just killing the bikes and then walking away, and then me putting that Sagittar on the objective and being like, it's contested. But as soon as you put that other beast boss on there, I'm like, okay, that's OC6 on there, which means I need to probably kill one of these beast bosses next turn. So I need to do whatever I can to stop Mazrog from just getting behind that wall. Because if he gets behind that wall, there's no way I'm killing him. All I have to punch him with is a squad of Zerkers, which are strength 9. Going into -1 a wound, they're going to be winning on 5s. That's not good.
Nope. Yeah, winning on 5s, 4 up invuln. It's a lot of very awkward breakpoints for the Zerkers with their relatively low volume of attacks.
Yep. So I think here, I don't know quite which combat this is. I know you did use 5's Explode on Mazrog, correct?
Yep. So I think this is Mazrog, 4 wounds on the bikers. I think you used AOC here to try to keep a couple models alive.
Yep. We both have 5 or 6 CP at this point.
Yes.
So I am trying to use that CP to mess around as much as possible. Because there's not really any CP I'm using aggressively next turn. Maybe on that bike squad for Sus 2, but it's not a really good stratagem to use on a Sagittar or anything. Yep, and here we go. We have 1 4-wound bike living on full, and we have the E-champion living on 1 wound.
Well, and over got close.
Yep, over on Uthar's squad, the Thane, which has the 4 up invuln, the sergeant of the squad, He tanked a ton of Power Claws, and then Uthar looks like survives on 2, and then Uthar claps back and manages to kill all of the knobs.
Yeah, that was pretty unfortunate. I think I probably should have killed that squad, but at the same time, I should have done the mental math beforehand of how much damage is average between a grenade and charging in. That squad only has 19 attacks. It goes up to like 28 or something like that on the 29 on the not wall turn, so it gets 10 extra. That 6-man squad gets 10 extra attacks when the law is active, and also will get +1 to wound Uthar's squad because all the strength 9 claws will go to 10. So
Yep.
I kind of just assumed that the knobs would kill that 5-man squad and didn't really do the math of what actually, all those awkward invulns that are in that unit, and also the Uthar just taking 1 damage. So I think it's probably, the math was probably favorable for me, but not probably as much as I had anticipated. So I probably should have been a little more cognizant of the risk of failure there, unfortunately. So my gambit to deny the primary just doesn't work out, and I get a knob squad killed for free, which unfortunately is also one of Nick's marks, which means that he'll get the extra CP from that in his command phase, which, yeah, is pretty bad. I won't lie to you. But overall, what am I talking about? I was going to say that I accomplished what I needed to this turn. Literally nothing I tried to do this turn worked other than getting behind enemy lines, which had no risk of failure. So I am at least forcing Nick to try to respond to me here, right? Like, the Mazrog's in the open. He's going to have to drive up to see Mazrog, and then hopefully at that point I can just blast him with a bunch of charges. So Going into turn 3, I don't think I call the wall here.
Nope. You hold it back still.
Wait for another turn. I feel like I'm not in a great spot, so I feel like trying to get as much out of it as possible in the very end game is probably the right way to go. So going into turn 3, Nick gets another 15 because of the failed knob charge, and draws Engage and Secure No Man's Land. So how are you feeling going into this turn?
Yeah, I mean, Engage is like a pretty easy 3. I'm trying to remember what I want to put down. Oh, it's so battle shock wise, that 1-man bike passes, the E-champ passes, and Uthar fails. So I opt to leave Uthar in combat because I don't want to risk him just dying on a 1 or a 2 when he leaves. I'm pretty fair. I feel like he could tank that war boss because the war boss only has 4 attacks, correct?
Yep.
So I'm like, I think he could tank the war boss. If he dies, like, the Sagittar is going to be in combat with the war boss. There's no way this war boss kills the Sagittar and Uthar. I still own that objective before I pass to Lucas. And then over there, I think I'm deciding whether or not to send the biker into the bottom right quadrant or the top right quadrant. And I end up going with the bottom right just because I don't want to give you a unit to slingshot off of into the midfield. We're lining up all the bunch of Sagittars to shoot Mazrog. And I mean, it's looking pretty good. It's an 8-point secondary turn. I'm not getting any CP, but like we said, I just got my 2 CP for killing one of my marked targets. I think I'm at like 6 right now. I'm feeling pretty good on my resources and my secondaries. Yep. Those bikes, 6-man bikes, just jumped off the board and jumped back. And those Zerkers get out of the Sagittar as well. Now, this is one mistake I made. I believe I forgot to move the Sagittar that the Zerkers got out of onto the objective, because there is no way I'm also killing that beast boss behind the wall. And I needed to put that on the objective to be OC3, to deny you the secondary, no, the primary. So that's a mistake that's definitely going to help you out a little bit here, because there's also no way I'm stopping your 10.
Yes, I see now that I got a 15 this upcoming turn.
Yep. So
and this is kind of a function of, when you play a matchup like this where it's very standoffy, or on a terrain form, like this particular format, right? Like, there's a wall here, and there's a wall here, there's a wall here. Like, each of our sides of the table, if you will, are very sheltered from each other. And none of us is very incentivized to push into the other, because if I push into you, then I either use my Wa to try to stay alive, and then you just like back up, or I run out of the open, try to survive, and then Wa to do damage. neither of which is very appealing. If you push into me, then you're going right into my threat ranges, which is horrible. So neither of us is very incentivized to push, and we're all just trying to like squeak. We're both just trying to squeak as many points as we can out of these awkward situations. So yeah, I mean, this is the one bummer of this mission is it can promote this kind of like very slow, grindy game, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it can be a very slow-paced affair.
Yep. So here we have the E-Champ decided to use the fallback shoot and charge stratagem, and the E-Champ and the Zerkers charged Mazrog. In exchange, your Beast Boss heroics my E-Champion, because they can use the heroic stratagem for 1 CP. And then over in the top left over there, my Sagittar runs in a tank shocks your War Boss to do 2 damage to him. And then it's just kind of up to, can Uthar survive?
Yep.
And also, can we take down Mazrog?
Yeah, he's a big boy. I mean, Mazrog just tanked all those Sagittars to the face and is still alive. So, I mean, he's about to get hit by the champ and 5 berserkers. So the likelihood he actually survives this turn is pretty low. But I'm proud of him for surviving that whole shooting phase.
I'm pretty sure you used Fight on Death on him. Yep, there it is.
I did. Yeah, I figured my Squig Boss was about to get super tagged. And I wanted to be able to activate him in my turn, so I figure 2 CP for kill most of the Berserker squad. Now that Beast Boss probably kills the champ and the remaining Berserkers, and then is free to do whatever he wants on my turn.
Yep.
So it's a big investment. I think I also used 5's Explode. Maybe I used 5 Explode in this guy. Actually, I don't think that I did. But just trying to go for him, and all I need to do is roll 1/6 on the champ to just kill him because of devastating wounds. So there go the Berserkers.
Now, the reason why, I think people are wondering why I consolidated them there, with the charge and with where Mazrog was, I wasn't able to get enough of them on the objective. So I think there were only like 1 of them actually on the objective, so I wasn't contesting it. If I had just 2 survivors on there, then it's absolutely just don't walk them in there, keep them around. And then this E-Champion, you kill it stands back up on a 2-up, and now I have OC3 to your OC3.
Yep.
Okay.
Here we are thinking what this
here.
charge is for the Beast Boss if if this champ happens to die, because unfortunately I did not roll a 6, so the champ survived, was not devastatingly wounded. But Orcs have a great tool to get out of sticky situations like this, which is to throw a Bomb Squig at it. Bomb Squigs just are triggered when you finish a normal move. As far as I can tell, there's no not being combat restriction. So yeah, hopefully that champ will die to a Bomb Squig, and that'll allow, because that happens in the movement phase, that'll allow the boss on Squig to normal move into the middle of all these Sagittars and hopefully do some work.
Yep. Over in the middle left, Uthar is alive on 1. He did manage to tank the War Boss and finish him off. But I do only have OC4 on that objective now, so I think Lucas is kind of looking for how can he flip that for me and put me on a 10.
Yep. So yeah, even if Nick's at 10 here, though, the thing, I should have just not even bothered to go. Anyway, we'll talk about that at the end. But yeah, this is kind of the turn where, when you go second, you can play to the one advantage of the wall at the start of the battle round, which is if you're in an exposed position at the top of the battle round, calling the wall gives you the invuln. So what I'm going to do here is just try to run all my stuff out pretty aggressively, be in a scary spot where I can just charge Nick's whole army next turn, and then call the wall at the top of 4 so that, at this point now he's got to chew through all my tough stuff. So that's the goal here. So the knobs are coming out, the pigs are all going to come out this turn. I'll drop in my remaining Gretchen squad just to be in a knowing spot with their OC2 where they have to be addressed, otherwise I'll start denying some points, getting Storm Hostile, that kind of thing. So, yeah, that's my goal here. Flash Gets also will be exposed this turn, I think. Maybe not. There isn't really much for them to shoot here. So I think they actually stay hidden. But here come the pigs. They'll be charging that one biker. and the pigs destroy that champion, and the guy gets his normal move off. This turn, I would love to send the beast boss into the middle of those 3 or 4 Sagittars that are kind of in a cluster there, right here and here. But I did draw both Bring It Down and Area Denial. So this beast boss is going to be very important. Killing this one car and consolidating back to the middle of the board will give me 8 points. So I figure that's probably better than tagging a bunch of these cars. Just getting in the middle of the table, getting those 8 points on primary. It also puts him on this objective again for the purpose of primary. That OC3 is pretty important. So yeah, that's where I'm at with him right now. So Druck's coming out as well. I figure with the 5-up invuln inbound, it's going to be pretty unimportant for Nick to shoot the Druck with no tokens on it. It's going to be very annoying for him to kill it. There's going to be one more stuff in his face that he needs to address. So just being as aggressive as possible with it, getting into a position where it can actually threaten both of those objectives in the lower right. And yeah, here we go. All the pigs are coming out.
Yeah. So you're getting some secondary points that are kind of getting you back into the game. You got a 15, which is pretty good. Do you feel like you're still playing like too defensively here? Or do you feel like you've like set up for your WA decently well?
I don't know. I feel like I might have been too defensive in the early game. Maybe it was worth it to take a couple of risks and expose myself at a couple angles so that, you know, unless Nick pushed up super far, I could like zoom up to better staging positions, like have more of my army here and here. Because as it was, my whole army basically chilled here for 3 turns, which meant that Nick had free reign of the table. You know, we were fighting here and here instead of here and here. So I felt behind the 8 ball in terms of tempo of this game, and I'm not quite sure what the appropriate response was. I think it might have been more early aggression, but it's just so scary because Votann have those scout moves where if you try to be too aggressive on them, they can definitely zip up and punish you super heavily from relatively far away as well, right? You know, 24 inches isn't that long of a range in terms of guns. It's like fairly standard right now for guns in the game. But for Orks, 24 inches is a far distance to cover, right? Because if I could, you know, if he scout moves up first, knowing that he's going first, and I call the wah, well then he'll just back out of charge range, and I'll wasted the wah. If I don't wah, then he gets to shoot me at 24 inches, no threat or reprisal, and I don't have an invuln. Like, it's either bad or it's bad. So, not quite sure what the right response could have been. I think I probably played this as good as I could have. But maybe a couple more early game risks could have been warranted. But we are going to get our charges off here, which is going to be nice. We got the Hearthguard ingressing and heroicing, which is a time-honored tradition of Nyx at this point to try to get those guys into the fight as quick as possible. That movement 5 is a big downside, and them getting stuck in nice and quick is pretty good. So those guys are going to get in there, and just it's expensive. It's a 3-point play, or a 3 CP play, but I think at this point you have like 5 or 6 CP. So beating that truck down, getting the party started is probably pretty good. Now that I'm starting to push up on you.
Yeah, I kind of like
your way through my stuff.
Picked up what you were trying to do there with the truck, where your plan was to wall next turn. Now you have a 5-up invuln truck in my face, and then you have 10 bodies of 5-up invuln beast snagga boys back there. So my plan is to heroic it and try to demech it in your turn, so that next turn this like 6-man bike squad or the Hearthguard squad right there can hopefully pick up the beast snaggas. Because the main lead that I have in this game right now is primary, and you getting like OC20 just out on the board and me not being able to clear it is not great.
Nope. Yeah, and those snaggas can actually be pretty tough to kill when all the defensive stuff starts getting going in their favor.
Yep. The T5, correct?
Yep. T5,
Yep,
5 up
T5.
Armor, cover access, 6 of Feel No Pain, -1 to wound access. Like, it can add up in the right scenarios.
Yeah. And while like the Hearthguard can AOC, it's like if the Hearthguard don't AOC, really bad for the to get punched by beast snaggas. And even if they do, it's putting a lot of 2-up armors on them.
Yep.
That's one of your units in this army that have a just huge output. Huge amount of output with their attacks.
Yeah, it's something that I'm definitely missing coming from playing Orks over the summer. right? Where I had all these 10-man boy squads and stuff like that, where I was just rolling buckets of 40 dice at a time. A lot weaker into, tougher targets and vehicles because I basically only wounded them on 6s. But it's much better at just forcing a million saves onto something with moderate or low toughness. And, this army right now has 2 squads of Beast Naga boys. I'd really love more than that. But other orc armies are running 1 or even 0 squads, and they're just going all in on the elite stuff. Which, I can understand the appeal of running 1 wound models that are 10 points each is kind of gross. But I like volume, and that unit is very reliable at getting kills when circumstances align. So, I'm a huge fan of Snaga boys, personally.
Now, this turn, I remember we were both kind of laughing because it kind of turned out to be a little bit of a wet noodle turn. I know your Warboss squad over there with the knobs charged the Sagittar, and I lived on 2. Those pigs charged the E-Champion and did like 2 damage to it, and then it punched them back and did nothing. Those 3 pigs down in the corner killed like 1 Hearthguard. The Hearthguard then like deleted the truck, but like did no damage to the pigs.
Yeah, I mean, we're fighting each other. You're starting to fight a bunch of non-token targets, and I am punching you without the wall. So right now we're kind of just wet noodling each other. Kind of horrifically failing to do anything. And this is kind of what I was realizing of maybe I should have been more aggressive with my non-token targets in the early game, because they're just very hard for you to respond to. If like a couple of Sagittars or a couple of bikers shoot a squad of pigs, like, yeah, it takes all of that commitment to kill 100 points of 3 pigs. So maybe if I cram all of them in your face, it's pretty good. So
it's not great. All I'll say is I don't really want to play against 18 pigs,
That much is true. As a CK gamer, I can definitely sympathize with you there, sir. The T7 breakpoint is pretty good.
Yeah, especially because, a lot of my stuff's strength 7 or strength 6. So, I think here you were trying to figure out consolidation, and we're heading into my turn 4, where you do manage to put me on a 10 by taking that middle left objective there. I end up drawing Assassination, which means basically I either have to kill the squad with the War Boss on my objective right there, the top left objective, or I have to kill that Beast Boss. Ideally, I kill both because they're in my face. But the good thing there is like I can probably accomplish one of those and get the 5 points.
Yep.
The other one's Investigate Signals, which, while doable, I'm kind of at this weird point where like I think you did call the wall this turn, correct?
Yes, going to turn 4 here.
Where there's all these pigs in the bottom right. There's these like 9 Beast Nagas because 1 died on the way out in the bottom right. There's these Grots that are threatening to come take my other objective and put me on like a 5. And there's this Warboss squad in the middle that's tagging a Sagittar. So I kind of feel like I needed all my activations to do as much damage as possible. Like, I'd have to send a Sagittar backwards to dump out some Hearthkin to get the signals in my bottom left corner, and then I have to spend 3 bikes in the top left corner to get signals again. And to me, that 4 points isn't worth like the amount of board space that those activations can clear for me.
Yeah, I think you're really only getting like 1 or maybe 2 signals here, which doesn't seem worth it, especially because it's going to be bikers who are doing it, and their damage is really needed right now. Now that I've got a bunch of stuff in your face and it's all got the invul. And also, like, as much as we've been talking about how we have all the CP in the world here, you did just, spend 2 to heroic your champ, spend 2 to heroic the Hearthguard, spend 1 to ingress the Hearthguard, and you AOC'd. So, like, over the course of those 2 turns, that was at least 6 points of points of command that you spent.
Oh, yeah.
So getting an extra 1 here from discarding Investigate Signals would actually be pretty good, I feel like.
Yep, I think I remember drawing that and just saying that out loud to you in the game. A lot of this game was, the 2 of us never playing this matchup kind of being like, interesting. Is this the right way to approach this?
Yeah.
I do still try to look to deny your primary because like missing that 1 chance to deny it early is coming back to bite me a bit. I think we're about even now because it's looking like you're getting another 15. If I can't deal with those orange hogs in the middle. So I think about using those bikes to maybe try to threaten the purple hogs, like them plus the Hearthguard maybe can do something there. And if not, they can at least contribute their shots to the Beast Nagas there. know I do end up using the fallback shoot and charge stratagem on the Hearthguard this turn, just so they're able to hopefully clear those red pigs, maybe clear the purple pigs, and then charge the orange pigs.
Yep, just doing as much damage as you can to as many of my units as possible right now. I've still got some reserves in the backfield, most notably the flash kits, but like you can't really play around them at this point. Just try to not let them shoot the ideal target, which is bikers, which you've done a good job at, like hiding your bikers from them. But they're at a certain point they're just gonna get to hit you, so I just accept that happens and have a CP ready for AOC.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of what's happening next turn is trying to force your flash kits to go after my Hearthguard, and then hopefully spending a CP on Void Armor and just negating that activation entirely. But this is kind of where it's a little sketch. There's a lot of, the two most important units for me to kill this turn both have 2 tokens, the War Boss and Knobs unit and the Beast Boss. But the orange pigs have none, the red pigs have 1, the purple pigs have 1, and the Beast Nega Boys have none. And yeah, I'm kind of just having to hopefully do some damage to some units without access to +1 to hit or wound. So I remember here, I know my Thunderkin, we kind of are piecemealing that War Boss squad, and they end up shooting, I think I end up shooting all the Thunderkin at the War Boss, because I do at least have the Berserks there to charge the Beast Boss, even if I don't kill him in shooting. And the Thunderkin, I never remember, yeah, here it is. Yeah, they massively whiff there. If you can see, that's a bunch of 1s and 2s and 3s. 6d6 shots there, and I think I got 11. Not great. I think it ends up putting the War Boss and a Knob alive, but this last Sagittar comes through as a hero and picks them up. So a little sketchy there, but we managed to make it work.
What'd you draw this turn for secondaries? Do you remember?
Assassination and signals.
Oh, that's right. We talked about that. Yeah, so that's your assassinate points locked up, which is going to be pretty good. And if everything goes to code, you'll also, like you were talking about, put me down to a 10 as well. So potential to keep me to a 45, which would be big here, as we're closing in on a very close game.
And that Sagittar is on the objective. But kind of what you're realizing here is, I think you could try to put me on a 10 and I'd be down 5. No, even if you put me on a 10 and turn 5.
Yeah, that was my thinking, was that turn 4 was my last turn to actually hurt your primary, which was, I was thinking maybe if my Gretchen laid at a charge, they make their way onto this objective, the knobs take this one from you, then you're on a 5 at that point, and if I give you a 10 or a 5 in the next turn, then I've actually dented your primary in a significant way. So, unfortunately, it didn't pan out that way, but I think it was worth the risk.
Absolutely, dude. Yeah, and I kind of saw your Gretchen trying to take that top left objective, and I think I flooded it with Hearthguard. I think there's 10 Hearthguard on there at this point. Not Hearthguard, Hearthkin. But OC20 hanging out on there. We've got, things are kind of going a little bit rough here. I'm kind of realizing the durability of the pigs with only 1 token. The purple pigs, I think my bikes end up doing like 1 damage to them, 2 damage to them. Not great. The 6-man bike squad does pick up the Beast Nagas, which is awesome. And then the Hearthguard here, I think I'm rolling the Hearthguard shooting into the red squad of pigs right now.
Yep, I think so. I think you go, rather than trying to bite off what they can chew and actually try to hurt purple pigs, you kind of just figure, let's just KO as many units as possible, right? Just take out the ones that are right in front of me. We can go from there.
I think how I went was kill Beast Nagas, make sure they die, shoot 3-man at purple, see how much damage I do, realize I did nothing, go to try to kill red. And the red squad still lives. But at this point, it's like I need to make sure you don't get a 15, so I'm kind of abandoning that red pig, and I'm sending the Hearthguard into the orange pigs.
Yeah, and this is something you can do against Orks, is their units, like everyone's units in the game, but because we have these little small squads, if you can just kill a couple models out of each squad, their effectiveness is really diminished. Right? It's not like an armature, where if you knock an armature down to 1 wound, it's basically at full strength. A pig at 1 single pig is not going to be a deal breaker at any particular point in time, unless it's doing something very critical, like scoring points. It's 1 pig's damage is not very good. So.
Yep. There, I did have that one survivor, that hero biker, try to walk the pig down in combat because I figured that he would not be able to kill me. And then you wouldn't go over and just tag my 6-man because the 6-man bike squad can't leave the board if they're in combat.
Right. That would be a scenario where that one pig living would have been big. So.
Yep. He's still there, though, so my 6-mans are going to be locked down next turn. I think over in the top left, I have one squad of Hearthkin make a charge into the Gretchen to just stop you from walking in and taking my objectives over there. And we got Zerkers punching the Beast Boss and Hearthguard punching the pigs. This is another kind of one of those weird turns where we're seeing a little bit of wet noodle, where like, yeah, I killed some things, but there were other things I shot at that we both expected to die, and like they didn't. And as we're going to see here, the Zerker, I think, punches the Beast Boss, and you use Fight on Death, because last time I had Zerkers charge a Beast Boss, it was Mozrog, who's tankier than the Beast Boss, and they just killed him. But now I think I did like 2 damage to him.
No, you have it wrong. I saved my 2 CP. So the Berserkers went in and whiffed horribly on Red Boss.
Yep.
Like did actually 2 damage to him.
Gotcha.
I interrupted with Orange. And you either didn't have AOC or I forget what exactly.
No. But I think I went first with the Hearthguard into Orange. That's what it was. And you fought on death with the Orange Pigs.
Right, because that doesn't give you the availability to AOC because of the timing.
Yeah, and
that's what it is.
You killed like one Hearthguard.
Yeah, you
like...
you wiped me out. I fought on death. I'm like, yeah, I'll kill 3 or 4 here, and I killed 1. I'm like, all right, sick, 2 CP, and then Berserkers just whiff on Red Boss and do like 2 damage to him. Like, what is this?
And then he ate...
What are these stupid armies that we're playing?
And
dude?
then I think he ate 4.5. No, he ate 3.5 Berserkers. There's like 1.5 left there. Yeah, it was not great. Oh, we get the hero Hearthkin battling the Grots up top. I think we trade there. I think I killed 2 Grots and you killed 2 Hearthkin.
You killed 1 and I killed 1.
Oh, let's go, dude.
You cannot kill a Grot. Thoughts? Feelings?
But
My aggression are stronger than you.
Kind of in this weird, like, skirmishing phase where I still have a ton of stuff on the board, I feel like.
Yes.
But everything we have is, like, kind of reduced in strength. Like, the 6-man bike squad's pretty big here, but I think you're about to go for an advance and charge with that purple squad.
Yes, that's correct. And then Red's gonna go try to tag those white bikers in the lower right-hand corner, just prevent him from leaving, keep him there for a little while, that kind of thing.
And it's like, well, I do have 4 Sagittars still on the board. They're not actually like that efficient at killing like orc boys, right? Because their shot count's like not super high. Especially things without tokens. The hitting on 4s is sketchy with only 5 shots a car.
Yep. So we are dumping out the flash kits. This turn I have drawn engage on all fronts and extend battle lines. So extend will be nice and easy. And then engage on all fronts. Those Gretchen in the upper left will get me 3 points as well. So making a comeback quite significantly here on secondaries. Got an 8 last turn. Getting an 8 this turn means at this point I think I'm a little ahead of Nick. Yeah, I'll be 1 point ahead of him at the end of this turn.
Yep,
which is pretty good, all things considered. Considering how bad my secondaries were in the early game, I'm feeling pretty good about my draws in the mid game here. And then
so currently you're 1 point up on secondary and 5 points behind on primary.
Yes,
but I also know that you can get that 15 at the end pretty easily.
Yes, I am saving. You did mention that I should save my 10 beast daggers in this truck specifically for that purpose, which was very smart. Because I was fully prepared to just run them in, which wouldn't have really done anything for me. As it stands, them being OC20 in this truck is going to mean that in the late game, they'll get to run out onto this objective and take it from you.
Yep.
Securing that 15.
Because I think you thought about sending them over to my middle left objective over there, but realized even if you took that, I still get a 50.
Yeah, there was kind of no point.
Yep. Another thing here that I really like that you're doing, which I noticed you were saying out loud a lot during the game, is like you haven't drawn like signals yet, or like there's certain secondaries you haven't drawn yet, and like you're still trying to be like, okay, let's keep this truck here within a certain range in case I draw this one on turn 5. You know, you're still playing to your outs here, like hoping to draw good secondaries. You're not just kind of throwing it away and running right at me.
Yeah, this is something that I always advocate for, is moving with intent, or with purpose, right? You shouldn't just be moving your models for no reason at all. It should be doing something at all points. It should be hiding. It should be on an objective. It should be staging. It should be threatening. It should be attacking. It should be getting ready to score points. It should be being OC on an objective. If something's just kind of like idling randomly for no reason, then you're not using that unit to its full potential. So always think about what all your units are doing, and that's definitely a lot of like mental overload. So if you feel overwhelmed by that concept, start with your most important units. Think about what they need to be doing at all points in time. What you actually need to be doing is bashing the terrain and knocking it all over the place. But yeah, just think about what your units should be doing and try to execute on each one of those. And you know, as you start gaining more experience, you can kind of like play with more and more of this. You know, apply that concept to more and more of your units over time.
Yep.
So we had the flash gets shoot into those Hearthguard. Bit of a whiff, unfortunately. I mean, 2-up armors are 2-up armors, but I think I killed like 2. And then you'll be AOCing in combat is again here. A bit of a funny interaction because you're toughness 6, I'm strength 6. Badrook's irradiated ammo aura makes you T5. And then your loyal Oathsworn Bodyguard's ability kicks in, and you become -1 to wound. So we're back to the original wounding on 4s, despite both of our abilities, which is hilarious.
Yep.
So yeah, not expecting a ton there, but at least forcing you to AOC twice, and you know you'll roll some 1s, means that some of that Hearthguard squad will die. So definitely not ideal for me, but just getting them in combat and keeping them there is enough at this point.
I think purple pigs make their charge in the bottom left there. They do end up killing 2 of the 6 bikes. I think 2 2/3. So we were not expecting that. I think we were both expecting you to delete most of that bike squad, because now that 4-man is free to run around since they were no longer in combat.
Yep. And yeah, this is a bit of my complaint with pigs, is they're a great all-rounder unit. They're tough and they're relatively fast, but their damage is kind of lacking, and also being mounted is very awkward. So unless you have a knob in the squad or have more than 3 models, you're mostly just using them as a skirmishing unit, which, you know, they do very well at, but they can be a little disappointing in the damage department sometimes, unless you're fighting like, I don't know, trying to think of a unit with like low armor save and decent toughness.
And then here's our ongoing combat where the 1.5 Zerkers managed to kill the beast boss when the 5-man Zerkers did 0 damage to it.
Classic.
Another absolutely hilarious moment of our armies just sometimes wet noodling each other and sometimes deleting each other. And then the Flash Gits and the Hearthguard are going at it. I think you do manage to pick up 1 or 2 in melee through AOC. And then I pick up like 3 or 4 back.
Yep. Which makes sense.
It's looking pretty good. Like we said, you're down 5 on primary, but up 1 on secondary. And as you pass back to my turn 5, I do get a 15, which means I'm up by 20. But realistically, you're probably getting a 15 at the end of the game. So I'm still up by 5. So it kind of comes down to... No, actually, I think that puts you... I think if you get the 15 at the end of the game, that puts you at 50. Yeah.
Well, I'd be up by 1. Well, I'm up by 1 right now. So when we both get a 50, I'll be up by 1. So it really just comes down to who draws what in this last turn.
Yeah.
So this is the point in time when that cashing in a secondary for a CP is big, right? Because if you can turn a 2 into a 5, then all the more likely that you get to win.
Yep. Like, if I can realistically try to deny you a 15, then, like, the game's over. Like, if you're down 5 right there, unless, I guess, I draw 2 0 secondaries. I think I end up drawing Overwhelming Force and Area Denial, though, which is, like, absolute ace secondaries to draw at this point in the game. That's just a guaranteed 10 points for me, which puts me up by 9 now on the secondary department. So basically, looking at it right now, if I can't deny your 15, which I'm really trying hard to do by putting as much shit as possible on that middle objective as we see there. Like, I'm putting 2 Sagittars on there, I'm putting my Hearthguard on there, my E-Champ's still alive, and he's on there. So I'm really making it hard, but you have that OC-20 of these Snaga boys still inside of that truck, and I cannot get to it at all.
They're ready to snag that objective from you.
Oh, yeah. So a lot of this turn is me just trying to make it as hard as possible for you to get 15. Like over there in the bottom left, I'm trying to make it so those 3 purple pigs can't steal my home objective. So I'm trying to pump some damage into them. I'm trying to move block them with bikes. I think at some point in the turn 2, I go for a charge with the Thunderkin because I do not kill them in shooting. And I'm trying to like hurt your truck there. I've got the 2 bikers on the objective there. That's OC4 to the OC2 of the truck. So it's just a lot of me trying to play my outs here, trying to deny, so that you don't like draw really good secondaries in the last turn and win by a point or something. I know that I think you still have no prisoners and overwhelming in the deck.
Yep.
Which I guess there's a world where I could have taken all of my guys off the objectives. I don't think I had the movement.
That seems worse than trying to deny me the primary.
Yeah, I also don't think that Hearthguard squad with the call had the movement to get off that objective.
I don't think so. That's also the least likely unit to die at this point.
Yeah, that is true.
It's more those 2 berserkers and like the 3 wound champ or whatever. Those are the ones that are most likely to die. So yeah, I mean, like you probably could have played around overwhelming a little bit better, but at a certain point, it's like put OC on objective is kind of the way to do it.
Yeah. I figured that would be better. It's always interesting watching these games again and kind of reviewing what you think would be a smarter decision.
Mm-hmm.
So the flash kits go down. That's 1 unit killed for overwhelming. I think we're just kind of finishing up the shooting phase real quick here, doing a little bit of damage to some of these pigs. And now we're going into the charge phase shortly. I've got a long charge into those purple pigs from the Thunderkin that I'm thinking of to try to lock them down. I've got a charge from, I think, that top right Sagittar in the middle. I think I'm like, maybe it'll go for a charge on the truck with your Beast Snagas and try to like move block it. Just trying to do a lot of slowing you down as much as possible and getting in the way. The Zerkers and the E-Champion are going for a charge into Bad Rook. Yep, there we go. The Thunderkin ended up making their charge into that pig squad, which is very big.
Very big.
Very big. The E-Champion rolls a 6 and flattens Bad Rook, as he is want to do. And I think the Sagittar there fails his charge into your truck.
Coward.
Cowjitar.
Stop it.
So I'm just kind of rolling it out here. I've already got overwhelming. I've already got area denial. I think I've done pretty much the best I can do. And now I'm passing it over to you.
Just reviewing things, we drew remarkably similar secondaries this game.
Yeah. So I'm trying to remember what you initially drew.
We both drew behind early. We both drew tempting early. We both drew capture early.
Yep.
We both drew extend battle lines. We both drew engage on all fronts in the mid game. You drew assassinate and I didn't. We both draw overwhelming force at the very last turn. Yep. We both draw engage in the mid game. Like we both drew area denial in the second half of the game. Like we almost had like parity on secondaries, which was super silly.
Which is really funny too, because like we're using shuffled decks. I know that sometimes people like are convinced that the app sometimes like generates the same secondaries for like the player and their opponent, but we're using the decks here. Like this is just pure chance. Yep. So I know you drew prisoners and something else.
Prisoners and overwhelming. And this is my golden opportunity of using.
You were debating cycling one of them, right?
Yes, I figured my odds was so at this point I have like I think I have 1 CP. So I can either use it for cycling to try to grab, what do I have left at this point? Let me look.
Oh, assassination.
Assassinate, which would have been good. Cleanse, which would have been okay. Defend, which would have been 3 points. Overwhelming it would be better. Secure No Man's Land, which would have been 5 points instead of like 3. And then Storm Hostile, which would have been 5. So like I had a chance of upgrading like 2 points for that CP, or I could use that CP to try to get the points that on Overwhelming Force that I already had drawn. So I figured it probably would have been better to just tank shock with the truck.
Yep.
And that will probably secure me Overwhelming Force for at least 3. And then if I can kill those Berserkers as well, then that's 5 on Overwhelming Force and 4 on Prisoners, which would get me the win. Or no, it would tie the game because you're at 91 at this point.
Yeah, you need to kill 3 units. So basically what you're looking to do is kill this 2-man Zerker squad and the E-Champ on the objective, and it gets you Overwhelming and gets you 4 on Prisoners, which ties the game. And if you manage to kill those 2 bikes in the bottom right, you kill 3 units and you win the game by a point.
Yeah, I mean, the likelihood of me killing the bikes was very low. All I was trying to do over there was kill 1 so that I hold that objective. And then I hold this one. That'll give me my 15. And then it's just a matter of trying to get this stupid champ to fail as many 2-ups as he can to die.
Well, I think I actually ended up AOCing the bikes over there because I figured that champ was probably dead. And I figured with the low volume of attacks going to the bikes with it, because the only thing that could realistically kill them was the pig. So it's like, okay, if I am taking like 3-ups against this, or not 3-ups, 4-ups against this pig that only has like 5 attacks or whatever, that's a lot better than trying to make, 52-ups.
I mean, I feel like AOCing that champ is just better, right? Because as soon as he lives, you basically win.
I mean, but then if you kill the bikes, it's the same thing, right?
But like, what are the odds of that, dude? I guess I needed 4 of my 5 attacks to go through. Or is it 4 of my 6 attacks?
I think 2, as soon as your truck failed to charge into the champion.
Yes. That was a bummer because because I think he had 3 wounds left, so there was a chance the tank shock just flattened him right there.
Yep.
So, bit of a bummer. I think it was like a 4 or 5 inch charge, but like that happens sometimes. And so, I only get 2 on Overwhelming and no prisoners.
Yep, because you only kill the 1 Zerker. The E-Champ lives, the bikes live. That Zerker in the way actually soaks up a lot of attacks meant for the champion, which is a bit of a bummer.
Yep.
But hey, dude, hell of a game.
Was a really
tight on primary, 50 both on top, and 31-27 down below. So basically 4-point game on secondaries.
Yeah, super, super fun. This mission does kind of look at the way we deployed versus the way it ended. Look at this. Versus this.
Yeah.
Where both just have
there's
cars
nothing
all
in
over
our
the place.
DZ anymore, and like our entire armies are just smashing in the middle.
And there's still like a fair amount of stuff left. Like you have most of your army. I've killed 7 Hearthguard, 5 Bikers, 5 Hearthkin, Uthar, 10 Berserkers, and a car.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe if I played this again, I'd be more...
I personally think you should have been more aggressive. Like as soon as by the time turn 2 ended, like you had basically locked down these 2 objectives for all intents and purposes. Like I think more bikers should have been pushing this way to just like start shooting.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Either
I was
that
always
or,
worried about
or
the flash
show up
kits
here.
coming down from your DZ and just destroying the bikes though in that area.
That's definitely fair. I mean, at a certain point, they're going to take their pound of flesh, I feel like, right? And so if you can just be in a spot where you have cover so that you still take 3-ups against them, I mean, then you're kind of cooking with gas.
Yeah. Looking at the board here, though, I think if I did this again, I think I would just like start throwing Sagittars at you. Just like, because their output's fine, but like the bikes are what really kills you, the bikes and the Hearthguard. So if the Sagittars are just like charging trucks or like charging boys, like your guys don't really kill Sagittars well in melee at all.
No. When I don't have the law, it's like especially bad. And you can like put 5 shitter Hearthkin in there, and that's like huge headache for me then, right? Because like if I pop the car, then you get the primary from spilling out of the popped car. If I don't kill the car, then the car gets to keep pushing / just shoot me. It's a real
Like, I
conundrum.
think turn 1, if I just put like a Sagittar in the middle, like, you know, respecting Mosrog's charge range, and just maybe, I don't know, ran up and try to like charge a truck through the wall, that would have been pretty funny. Like, just try to like move block the war boss and the truck right there.
Yep. But yeah, as it is, a really good game, 91-87. So 10-10 overall, but Slate Votann win in singles land. Was a super fun one. Thanks for the game, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. Super fun. Glad to see it's not like the last time we played Orks versus Votann, where I had to play in my DZ and just got ran over.
Yeah, that was a pretty funny one.
You know, the pendulum's swinging the other way. The Orks got to fear the Dwarves again, dude.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
the dwarf time is nigh. I'm super excited for it. These boys.
I think there's a lot more to this matchup that neither of us have locked down 100%.
Yeah.
You know, we're both kind of thinking the other person could have played more aggressive. So I'm excited to see the rematch where we both run at each other turn 2.
I assure you, I will not. I will continue to cower.
All right.
Cool. Well, hope you guys enjoyed this game. It was a really fun one to play and commentate. If you have any questions, comments, thoughts about this matchup or the armies, feel free to throw them in the comments. If you haven't already, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel so you never miss another game. And hope to catch you in the next one. Let us know what you think. And if you want us to play anything particular, the comment section is always a great place to let us know. So, any last thoughts, Nick, or should we sign out?
I think that's good for me, man.
Sweet. Take care, everyone. Have a great day.
Have a good one.